Hi everybody. Do you guys want to learn more about the life of Amy Carmichael? It's exciting to see how God protects her over and over again along with the children that she's serving in India. Today we get to learn a little bit more about how God protects them. Did you know that the cottage that Amy lived in India was just a small little bungalow is what it was called, and there really wasn't much of locks on the doors or locks on the windows or anything like that. And time after time, God took care of her when children would come and want to live with her. Well, today we get to learn a little bit about a young girl named Kohila. Now, she was only 5 years old, and she went to go live with Amy because she was being treated very badly in her home. And she knew that Amy would care for her and love her, and that she would be able to learn about God, the true God, who would care for her and love her, and she could learn about a relationship with Jesus. So she went to go live with Amy, but then something very difficult and scary happened. Amy was charged with kidnapping, and all of the workers and all of the volunteers that were there at Dohnavur were facing the same charges of kidnapping because of this young girl. Her family wanted her back, but if she went home, she wouldn't be living in a safe home. So they all began praying and trusting God that He would protect them and that His will and what would please Him would happen. Guess what? Just shortly after they found out that they would be charged with kidnapping, they got a telegram, and it said, charges dropped. The criminal case against them had been dismissed. This little girl would be protected from the danger that she had faced at home, and she would get to know the love and care of God. You know what, though? Amy didn't always do just beautiful things for children. She was able to serve one time someone who was named Red Tiger. Now this man, he was doing some things trying to help people around him by robbing from the rich and giving those things to poor people. But there was something very sinful about that. Even though in his heart he wanted to help people, what does God say about stealing? Is it right or is it wrong? He says it's wrong, doesn't he? His word tells us not to steal. This man didn't understand, and Amy knew about him, and she wanted to help in the right way so that people could still be encouraged and provided for. But she didn't want to approach the man herself. She prayed for an opportunity from God that this man would come to her. Well, one day, Red Tiger learned that Amy was building a new building in the jungle where he lived and where some of the people that were with him lived. So very quietly, very, very silently, they hid themselves among the trees, and they went to go watch Amy and her volunteers, her workers, while they were building this building. He saw that Amy was kind-hearted as he watched, and so he and one of his other men, they crept out into a field or a clearing where there weren't any trees so that Amy could see them. When she saw the two men, she thanked God because she knew exactly who he was. And she was so excited that she would have an opportunity to talk with Red Tiger. Amy wasn't afraid because she knew that this moment, that God had given it to her to hopefully show this man Jesus and change his life. He said to Amy, "My wife died, and I'm grieving. I'm so very sad. I have come to ask you if you would care for my 3 children." Amy answered, "Yes, of course. I will care for your children. But I want you to promise me one thing. Promise me that you will never again use a gun, but only in self-defense." Now, self-defense means if someone else tries to kill him, that's the only time he should be able to protect himself with a gun. Red Tiger gave Amy his word. Then Amy was able to tell him about Jesus and how Jesus had come as a man to earth in order to restore our relationship with God so that we could spend forever in heaven with God. And she asked Red Tiger if he would please give up his sin of stealing and violence. But Red Tiger wasn't ready yet. Let's find out in our next story what happened.